It's an absolutely absurd day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast has just revealed multiple secret lairs that have enraged the player base. It's like they're in a competition with themselves to see how they can make the absolute worst secret lairs possible.
Magic.
I am a wizard!
History.
I'm an old wizard!
The Magic Historian.
My bones hurt. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a hilarious installment of Mega Magic News. Well, actually, I guess it's hilarious on the surface, but the overall implications of what's going on with the Wizards of the Coast are really bad news for the game overall. So, what's going on? Wizards is winding up, getting ready for the upcoming spring Secret Lairs super drop, and it is shaping up to be the worst super drop ever made. Now, if you haven't been paying attention, you might not already know that they made a Hatsune Miku anime idol sort of secret lair, but that's not even what we're going to be talking about today. In fact, one of these secret lairs we're talking about today is so bad that somebody left a comment going, okay, I'll just buy the Hatsune Miku secret lair. Like, they didn't even want it, but they're just like, these new offerings are so awful that that's what I'll go with, which makes me laugh pretty hard. And on a side note, if you want to see the Hatsune Miku secret lair action, I did a live stream covering it with a bunch of hilarity, so I'll leave a link for that at the end of the video so you can check it out. But we need to focus on two secret lairs that are making a bunch of people, myself included, pretty mad. We're going to start out with the April Fool's joke. So I'm going to put this one up on the screen. This is the Sans Mercy Comic Sans secret lair, and it is an absolute abomination. Take a look at this. So you have 5 different cards set in a red-black theme. You have Doomblade, which is an old school instant that's really been outclassed by today's standards. It's 1 black and 1, and it says destroy target non-black creature. Essentially, it's almost an upgraded Terror from back in the day, or a reworked Terror. I shouldn't say upgraded, because Terror can't target artifact creatures, but it does stop regeneration as well. So there is some argument to be made of whether Doomblade is better. But either way, it's a little bit cleaner in its functionality of just straight up destroying anything that's not black. But it's also totally been outclassed by a bunch of the creature destruction that we've seen in current times. Beside that, we have Massacre, 2 black and 2 sorcery. Basically, you can play it for free as long as you meet the conditions of your opponent having a plane and you having a swamp out, so free casting, it's not too shabby. It gives all creatures -2/-2 until end of turn. So it's not really that powerful by today's standards, but if you can free cast it, it's alright to take down some white weenies or other stuff along those lines. It's really, again, another card that's been outclassed. When we move to the bottom, we're going to look at some cards that haven't been outclassed. Torment of Hailfire is a very, very strong and obnoxious card to play against. 2 black and X, and basically you get to do it X times where your opponent ends up losing 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. So the idea behind this is to just make X huge and go, oh, I hope you don't have enough permanents to get rid of, so it just feeds it to your skull. I know I have gotten smashed by this in Cube a lot. Beside that, you have Ruination, 1 red and 3 for a sorcery that says destroy all non-basic lands. And let's take a moment to notice just how obnoxious the flavor text that they have made on these cards are. It says, ouchie wah wah, please don't cry. Is that supposed to be wah wah? I can't even tell when I read this exactly what they're going for, but it's a please don't cry while I play this, ha ha. And then you have Mogus, the God of Slaughter. 1 red, 1 black, and 2 for a gigantic 7/5 indestructible god. But you do have to have your devotion to black and red up at 7. So if you don't have that, he doesn't count as a creature, right? And at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, Mogus deals 2 damage to that player unless they sacrifice a creature. So obviously, it's got some kind of tie-in along with the Torment of Hailfire. If you played Ruination, they're not going to have any lands that they can deal with. So this is supposed to be a bunch of obnoxious stuff. The cards at the top don't really feel the same obnoxious level. There are obviously other choices you could pick when you're building a Secret Lair where the idea is supposed to be essentially inducing salt in your opponent and then rubbing salt in the wounds by being obnoxious about it, right? Where are the blue cards? Also, I just want to point out that Wizards straight up made a mistake on Doomblade. If you take a look at the text, it actually says destroy target non-black creature, which makes it legally unusable as a Magic card because there's no such thing. You can't target a card, and that wasn't done to be clever because if you'll notice, none of the other text on any of these cards actually follows that concept, right? It doesn't have a bunch of stuff misspelled. That's just this lazy crap that they've slapped together. Now, the way that they've done the Comic Sans here in the old style SpongeBob meme is already confusing. Why would they do this? They put out an email saying, April Fools was a month ago in the stupid up and down lowercase, uppercase language like they have on these cards to be all tongue-in-cheek like, this is our April Fool's Secret Lair, but we're doing it a month later. Wizards wants to make Secret Lairs that tie into particular events. Remember how they screwed up the Eclipse and Equinox thing? They want to make these Secret Lairs that tie into these events, but they don't want to time them to be with the event. So the Spring Secret Lair Super Drop isn't even out. It's past April, and they're just like, you should want this because it's an April Fool's Secret Lair. But it gets even more jarring when you look at it and go, this just looks like a Mogus-themed Secret Lair. And the artwork is epic, honestly. The Torment of Hailfire artwork is amazing. Mogus looks super incredible. Like, bro, in terms of having a God of Slaughter, yeah, he fits the bill. So what is even going on here? Well, the idea is this is a clear out of artwork they already have kicking around. And I think they originally intended this to be a serious Secret Lair, but then they looked things over and at the last minute went, wait. What if this doesn't have enough appeal for people who want Mogus and stuff like that? Maybe there's not enough people who want that. How do we broaden the appeal of this Secret Lair? So they went, why don't we make like an April Fool's joke and it's all up or down lowercase kind of comments. And someone went, brilliant, let's go with that. And that's how this abomination was created. So they have this artwork kicking around that they want to clear out. And we're going to talk about that again after we look through the second Secret Lair that I have to show you too and talk about the problems with that one. But this is a mega obnoxious product. It is completely random, the cards that are thrown in here overall. The Comic Sans is very, very jarring, and yes, it will appeal to particular people, but like these cards are almost all cards that go straight to the graveyard. So your opponents aren't going to even see them most of the time to be triggered by the text that's on them. If you want cards that trigger your opponent, I mean, everybody and their brother has said, why wasn't Rhystic Study part of this? Do you pay the one that everybody says obnoxiously when they've got it out would make the perfect flavor text? They also dropped the ball on Doomblade when they could have gone with the dies to Doomblade, because you guys may not have been around for this, but for the longest time, whenever there was any discussion of creatures, if that creature could be targeted by Doomblade, there would always be somebody going, this card is garbage, it dies to Doomblade. So they're memeing, but they're not even memeing correctly. And if you want these cards to induce salt in your opponent with the Comic Sans action, which is what people who want this are going to like, there's only one card there that's a permanent, right? So you've got this epic waste of incredible artwork combined with a completely obnoxious concept. And that's not the only obnoxious Secret Lair. So let's move on to talking about the Outlaws of Thunder Junction Secret Lair. And we're going to start out with this ugly Greasefang. So when you look at this card, ask yourself, does this look even like a rat at all? Or does he look more like a dog? Greasefang is 4/3. He's 1, a white, and a black. He has, at the beginning of combat, return target vehicle from your graveyard. It gains haste. return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of your next end step. And you go, huh, wait a minute. So, why is he in this secret lair? And we'll get into that. As you go through it, you go, okay, so you have Greasefang. And how does he actually work in Outlaws of Thunder Junction? Where is his creature type that makes him into a criminal? That kind of thing, right? So you've got the next card, which is even uglier in the form of Magda Brazen Outlaw. And this is by far the ugliest card in this secret lair, and probably one of the ugliest secret lair cards ever made. She just looks absolutely terrible. 1 red and 1 for a 2/1. Other dwarves you control get +1/+0. When a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. Sacrifice 5 treasures. Search your library for an artifact or dragon card, then shuffle. All right? After that, we've got Kalidas, Trader of Get. He doesn't look too bad overall on this style here. So 2 and 2 black for a 3/4. He's got lifelink. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead and create a 2/2 black zombie. And then it's also got 1 black and 2, sack another vampire or zombie to put 2 +1/+1 counters on Kalidas. So Kalidas can become a big beef boy. He is a fun card, but you might have noticed a theme across the last 3 cards that we've looked at. They literally don't commit crimes. So this is Thunder Junction. Where are your criminals? There's only 1 card in the secret lair that commits crimes. That's Dak Faden, who is a very strange choice to include, considering he died back in the War of the Spark. But hey, whatever, you've got his artwork kicking around, you gotta use it, right? 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. +1, target player draws 2 cards. You can technically use that to commit a crime against your opponent. You probably wouldn't want to, but his next ability, -2, gain control of target artifact, that absolutely does fit quite well as a crime. Not only because you're satisfying the requirements of crime and magic, but also he's literally stealing an artifact from your opponent, which is straight up criminal. And then his ultimate is -6, get an emblem that says, whenever you cast a spell that targets 1 or more permanents, you gain control of them. And that is a big, satisfying ability, right? But ultimately, when you take a look at all the cards in this secret lair, you're left scratching your head going, so this is your Outlaws of Thunder Junction secret lair, right? And it's like, yeah. So how do 3 people who don't actually commit any crimes fit into this? That's making people very, very angry. They're like, yo, wait a minute, these guys don't commit crimes. And what's making them even angrier is the fact that none of these cards have any of the 5 outlaw types. So they're like, check it out. This is the secret lair that goes along with Thunder Junction. And it's like, oh, okay, well, do the creatures have the 5 different creature types that you've included? So all of my different outlaw cards have more fun outlaw Thunder Junction action? You're literally doing this on wanted posters, right? These are wanted outlaws. So clearly you're gonna, oh, wait, none of them count as criminal types? Well, surely they commit crimes, right? Oh, like virtually none of them commit crimes except for Dak. Oh, okay, well, at least they have really nice RR. Oh. So, what's going on with all this, my friends? What ultimately is Wizards of the Coast doing? The next Secret Lair Super Drop are the 2 secret layers I've just shown you, plus Hatsune Miku. And the thing about the Hatsune Miku anime layer is that they put out an email saying it's the first of 4. So it looks like there might be 3 more Japanese Vocaloid secret layers as part of this secret layer drop, right? And if you don't know what Vocaloids are, it's basically software where you can type in like lyrics and it will sing to you in an incredibly obnoxious digital voice. Like, I genuinely don't understand how Hatsune Miku has so many fans when her singing is so intolerable. But the really crazy part is the Hatsune Miku secret layer is the only one that feels like Wizards actually commissioned artwork for it. With the Mogus secret layer, that's what I'm calling it because I refuse to accept it as the Comic Sans nonsense. Anyways, with the Mogus secret layer, it's very obvious that they had all of this artwork kicking around. And the new stuff with the wanted poster ones also very much screamed to me, this is artwork they had kicking around. And this is becoming more and more of an issue with Magic the Gathering. For the longest time, when it came to using old art they had kicking around, which is called slush art, by the way, what Wizards would do is they used to, and it's mind-boggling to think that this is how it used to operate, but they used to go, you know what? This artwork doesn't actually fit our theme for the set. It's really good artwork, but it doesn't quite match the tone. Put it into the art file and we'll use it later. And when a new set came along, they would say, go through the old art and see if you can find some stuff that actually fits the tone of the world that we're building. But they found one place they could use it. Modern Horizon sets are the perfect place for slush art because it's almost like a core set. It's drawn from a bunch of different locations, and you can just go, hey, it doesn't matter where people are coming from. It doesn't matter about an overall story. We can use all this art we have kicking around, and I'm totally fine with that. But now we're in a world where both Markov Manor and Thunder Junction used a ton of slush art that they just had kicking around, and it was really, really obvious with Markov Manor. If you're wondering why Ravnica all of a sudden has a bunch of what feels like Earth-level 1920s gumshoe and detectives with their big old jackets and fedoras and stuff, that's because Wizards just had a bunch of artwork from Capenna kicking around that they didn't use, and instead of going, does it fit, they said, force it in, and then they created the detective agency, which didn't fit into the world because of the whole, we already have a complete Law and Order setup. There's literally no room for these detectives. So, Thunder Junction follows the same vein, where it's just like, hey, take artwork we have kicking around, paint a jacket on him or whatever. Look at Eartha Joe. Eartha Joe is clearly on Zendikar. Like, if you look at the artwork for Eartha Joe, she's clearly on Zendikar, and they just painted a cowboy hat on the guy in the background. So they are using insane amounts of slush art. And with these new Secret Lairs, where the Secret Lairs are supposed to be special treatments that they put extra effort into, and yeah, they're charging you a lot more than they should for 3 or 4 cards, but they've come up with a specialized theme and they've commissioned special art for it. But that's not the case anymore. Now they're doing the same junk drawer. Grab this slush art, cram it into the Secret Lair. Who cares? Just buy it, chumps. And this, it just finally clicked into my head today because I was looking over. I've been getting advertisements for Kickstarters for all these different card games. And some of them are clearly using AI art and not saying they are. And some of them are actually touting that they're using AI art. This is the way that the card world is going. And Wizards of the Coast is essentially getting ahead of this by cleaning all the slush art out. Just fire it into the engine, burn it like coal, because they paid $1,000 a piece for this artwork, and they know that their ultimate plan is to start getting AI generated artwork. Now they're going to say, no, that's not the plan. But understand, they recently just put out guidelines for D&D and Magic when it comes to the AI stuff. And they're specifically talking about how they don't want to tell us about anything that's going on with AI. When they catch people using AI, zip, they keep their mouth shut. And the reason they said is, we don't want to violate people's privacy. And it's like, sorry, how does telling us that an artist used AI artwork and you caught them violate privacy? And it's like, well, don't you remember when we had the open gaming license thing and we were trying to say that the only reason we're trying to make you pay us and we have to change our gaming license is because there's hate mongers out there and we got to stop them. It smacks of the same kind of thing where it's just like, this is something that some slick corporate dude thinks that people will accept as a reason, but they've essentially come out and said, we're only going to tell you that we've used AI when enough of you catch us and enough of you make a big stink about it, because the plan is ultimately to lean heavily into AI. And I absolutely believe, sadly, that Magic the Gathering will start to use AI at a certain point. There's like the money on the table that they can save by using it, and the fact that the people in charge of Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast don't care about the game anymore at all and just view it as a cash cow. You have the CEO of Hasbro, who's literally bragging about how they're already using AI in Trivial Pursuit and Monopoly games and things like that. And if you think they're not doing the heavy breathing, looking at Magic the Gathering going, we can slice $1,000 off the production cost of cards, plus generate infinite amounts of cards just by using this software, where do we sign up? As soon as Wizards of the Coast can get their own proprietary AI that they can feed all of these, like they have what? Something like 30,000 different pieces of Magic artwork that they've commissioned. I don't think people realize how integral Wizards of the Coast is in terms of putting fantasy artwork out into the world. They're literally the biggest creator of fantasy artwork, and it's not like by a small margin, it's by a huge margin. I have had personal conversations with Magic artists that explained how it works underneath to me, and that essentially you need to go and work for Wizards of the Coast to be taken seriously as a fantasy artist. So you might not like Wizards of the Coast, you might not want to work for them, but they're the only way to get properly recognized as a genuine. I mean, sure, if you work on something else and it turns into a breakout hit, that's like winning the lottery though. So for virtually everybody, and you can see this in the Reddits too, there are people who are like, bro, I desperately want to be a Magic artist, and these guys are super talented. So Wizards has all these people beating down their door going, we'll make great artwork for you, and they're going, yeah, just splorping it all up. But the only thing that's stopping them right now is the backlash to AI plus copyright issues. If you didn't hear, Midjourney is actually embroiled in a lawsuit because they have taken 15,000 different pieces of Magic artwork and used it to train their AI. So there's, I think, like a class action lawsuit with about 100 Magic artists who are suing them for stealing their work and just shoving it in there. So once the copyright law catches up with AI and definitively says whether or not it can be used, because right now, anything generated by AI isn't protected by copyright. So if Wizards was to use AI artwork on Magic cards, you could take that artwork and you could sell t-shirts of it. You could sell deck boxes, you could sell playmats. And I know there are some small little side Etsy people who do that, but I'm talking big, huge companies could just take your stuff, sell it, and you have no legal recourse. So until the courts come down and say, hey, AI, if you build your own proprietary AI thing and feed all your own property into it, then things generated by that can totally be used. And also, there's the sidestep around it where you just I hired a guy named Billy McPainter, and he can make 500 paintings a day. What? And they just have it like AI crank out paintings, and then Billy comes in and is like, I painted the mustache on him. And it's like, all right, well, it's altered now, and he did the finalized version. Because in Wizards' AI philosophy document, they say they only won't accept things that are finalized with AI, which means you can literally use AI to make an image and essentially trace over it like Magic tracers have been doing. Remember the Faye Dalton situation where she took a bunch of people's artwork and basically copied it? Well, imagine the same thing, but instead of the person going around and picking things to grab parts of, the AI has just stapled it all together and they're just painting over it, right? So Wizards of the Coast is going to get to the point where either they're going to have their own proprietary AI that's generating the fantasy artwork, and at that point, say goodbye to anything new and interesting, because AI isn't capable of generating anything new. It's just like you pour a bunch of different paints into a paint can, and it can just stick the stir stick in and pull it out with a different gob of paint on it every time, but it can't create anything new. AI can't be inspired by work. It's not human. It can't create anything new. So it's going to shut the door for all new Magic artists to even be able to get into the game unless Wizards starts to do some ultra premium. Now we're selling $200 Secret Lairs, and it's like, wait, $200 for 3 cards? Why? These ones were painted by actual humans. We're entering this new era where the generations that are coming up, they don't care the same way. They're not going to care about AI art. These are like kids who use TikTok and care about life in tiny little bite-sized chunks. It's warping all forms of different media. So when you take the fact that Wizards is actively trying to bring young blood in, the average Magic players are 30 years or older, they're going to lean more into this because what do they care about the player base that's dying off? And Magic players usually only last a year and a half or two. Commander players, and I'm guessing overall, when they're doing like the research, they're finding that there's a bunch of people who genuinely don't care if they use AI art. But it will lead to Magic becoming even more homogenous and lifeless and less worthwhile. I mean, the part of what makes Magic glorious is the creations of the artists. That's what got me into the game in the first place. Each Magic card is its own story, and the art is a big part of that story. The mechanics help tie into the artwork to tell you who and what it is you're looking at. But ultimately, we're living in a world where the slush art is being jammed down our throat. They're coming up with stupid crap like the loot plushies, going, buy it, Hasbro needs money. And we're on a sinking ship, son. This is the Titanic. And we're just gonna, like, we've got 3 or 4 more Secret Lairs to see from this drop. And they're going to be this bad or worse. That's it. The best we can hope for is 3 unique Hatsune Miku adjacent Secret Lairs. It's pure madness, and I do not like it one bit. But what I do like are my patrons. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. I'll be doing a live stream tonight over on my Hatcher YouTube channel if you guys want to come and hang out. Other than that, I'm done. So see you next time.